Hello YouTube and welcome to this video based on Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. Here I am going to be bringing you a game that I played earlier today, obviously on the new patch. In the north we have the USA, one of the most recently added civilizations, but of course not on the new DLC against one of the civilizations added on the new DLC. The Ethiopians, I believe is this the Ethiopians? I've never played as them, so I'm not sure. Yes, it is. It's the Ethiopians. I don't actually have the DLC yet, but obviously you can still play against players who have it, as you can see here. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to be coming up against here, but I made this video because I think it gives a good example of what the Spanish immigrant rush with the state militia and the pikes with the USA could be. This game is played on the ladder. It's one of the first games that I've played as the USA on the ranked ladder because I've just been learning them. I think my home city is level 21, something like that, so it's not too high. I've not played that many games. The strategy I'm using is one that I saw on Ozzy Drongo's channel, and yeah, I just thought I'd give it a go. I lost my first game that I played on the ladder. This was the second ever game, sorry, that I've played on the ladder with the US, and yeah, I just thought I would give it a go. Obviously I'm not really sure what I was coming up against here in the Ethiopians. You know, if I have a look at their deck actually, see, I don't know what these things mean. I know that this is influence. I assume that villagers? I don't know. All I know is that the Ethiopians and the Hausa are somewhat overpowered at the moment. They're probably going to be balanced quite a lot in the next patch. But yeah, this game is more about my strategy that I played as the US. And it is the Spanish immigrant rush. So one of the first things that you do as the US in the Spanish immigrant rush is to actually send in the French immigrants, which is 200 wood, 3 corps de bois. So you have to collect your wood off the floor, you build a house, you chop another 100 wood, sorry, and you get the 3 corps de bois. It's a 16 vil age up. You can usually do that without idling. As we see, 6.75 speed on the Ethiopian Explorer. Cavalry with a ranged attack for the Explorer, you know, because that is a power to me, but yes, he's got the same ranged attack as the US one. He's got 400 hit points, 500 hit points, I suppose, and 1 range resist. You can see here there'll be 1 more villager queued, and then I'll be going up to the 800, and I'll be going up with, is it Virginia? Yeah, is it Virginia? I think it's Virginia you go up with. We'll see anyway when I go up. See what shipments the opponent sent in at this point. Actually, it doesn't show you on this view. We're just telling the view lock just so I can see what I've seen. He actually hasn't seen that much of the map, given that he has an explorer, a horse. I actually have explored more of the map than my opponent at this point. I think they're 100 XP treasure. That's quite a nice one. It looks like I am actually going to idle here for a little bit, and I realise that, and I bring the sheep over. Kill the sheep. I like the sheep. And we hit the age up as soon as, and we go up with, yes, it is Virginia. So this gives you a military wagon, and I can't remember, do you know what? I can't even remember the cards that it gives you. But the next shipment that we're going to be sending in is 300 food, Spanish immigrants. It's quite nice because obviously you've been collecting your food and you can just leave your villages on until you get that in. You send that in as soon as possible, and then really you should be sending all of your villages onto wood a lot more quickly than I have. I've sort of overgathered a little bit here. I mean, it doesn't matter because we'll end up using that food anyway, but really now I should be looking at getting hunting dogs in, sending my villages over onto the coin, and we'll be getting 50 wood, 50 coin, getting in the hunting dogs, and then we'll be macroing towards getting 150 coin because the pikes out of the outpost, which I'll get from the Spanish immigrants card. There are 150 foods and 150 coin, and then we'll be looking to get state militia. Those 2 units obviously complement each other very nicely. State militia a little bit like strelets, light infantry, and the pikes counter cavalry. Picking up a nice 100 food treasure here, which is really nice. We've got hunting dogs coming in. My opponent doing. Still not really sure what this does. If somebody can explain to me in the comments what a livestock market does, then and why you need 2, please let me know. He ages up and he gets 2 mountain monasteries. Interesting. So you can see I've got my outpost, and that is going to be going down as a forward base. Just switch the colours up. I've got 304 colours on there, yeah, so. There we go, so I'm the red. We saw him putting his camp builder forward. We try and snare that a little bit.
Orders?
But he gets it in. Now obviously I'm stacking far too much food here. I've not played as the US that much, and I should have macroed a little bit better. Although the macro, to be fair, for state militia isn't terrible. I've actually traded a couple of hundred food on the market to get the pikes out, and which should have been able to take this down, but for some reason they decided to path all of the way around there, which is really annoying, which meant that this was able to, this watchtower was able to get up without me really hurting it at all. And we send in the 700 wood next, so we go French immigrants, Spanish immigrants, 700 wood, and then put almost all of your villagers on food. And we get out the Giskenia, which are basically musks, super powered musks. Slightly lower HP than a normal musk, but they have more range, and they also have a higher attack. And as we get out the first batch of state militia, not looking good really, because these desert raiders, they're kind of like weak Huss. If we get those down, then we'll be able to take out the Giskenia. The next card that you send in after the 700 wood is the 8 state militia. So you see we have a batch of 5 here, we have another batch of 5 coming in, then a batch of 8, that's 18. Remember that these guys as well, the more that you have, the better they are. That makes sense. So if you have a group of 35, then the stats improve. I'm not explaining this very well. They're like Tashunki. You know what Tashunki do? They get stronger when they're in a group. Look, it's got plus 17 HP now because we have a group of 17. If I had 35, I think the most that they can go up is plus 35, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And we have another batch of 5 coming out. Really should be queuing another villager here. I've got too many state militia in queue, not enough villagers. Sending in the regulars just because we realise at this point that we have no anti-cav, although he does only have 2 cavalry units. Taking down the inspiring flag, which improves the hit points again. Really, they should have been down earlier, but unfortunately my explorer was killed before I was able to do that. And now I've popped myself, I'm already into the house down, and I really need to be doing villagers. This is not a great fight for me, obviously. You know, heavy cavalry against light infantry, that's not good, but I have enough state militia to, you know, get rid of these 3 desert raiders. Then he has another pop there, the camel riders. No, I'm not even sure what these guys are. Let me have a quick look. They have a hand attack, and it's a double. So they're cavalry that are good against cavalry. And they're really quick. Okay, so they'll be kind of good against the state militia, but not as good as the other cavalry that I had before, the desert raiders. Now we have a small anti-cav in. We're going to pop some more pikes when the cooldown wears off. Really, we need to be queuing another villager at this point. It's really quite interesting watching new games back, because you realise all the mistakes that you made. Like at this point, I had no idea that I'd been idling villages for probably like 2 minutes, which is like really bad. And at this point, it's looking quite in our favour. The mistake that he made there was to, as I finally put a villager in the queue, the mistake that he made there was to keep popping his units out in dribs and drabs. If he had popped them all at once, then he probably would have been able to beat me there. Fortunately, state militia are very strong. Probably the only US unit that is strong, really. I suppose regulars are quite as strong as well. You know, a regular musk will only have 23 attack, and they have 25, and they've got the same amount of hit points, but they do macro not as well. They cost 5 resources more. They cost 55 coin and 50 food. Regular musk is only 75 food and 25 coin. And at this point, we're able to push into his base a little bit. He doesn't really have any units at this point. Had I known that he had so few units, I would have probably pushed a little bit more. These Abuns, I know that these guys are like really strong villagers. But apart from that, I don't know much else.
I'm ready.
So we're sending the 700 coin as we look to... I presume at this point I was looking to age the idle bills. Good. He pops some more Desert Raiders, but my pikes are able to get on top of them. We've got the regulars in the back firing as well. Again, the mistake that I mentioned before is popping all of his units out in dribs and drabs. Really, you know, you're not going to get much out of popping 5 cav on top of what is like 30 units almost, and he does it again. Not really a very good play from him. But of course, the Ethiopians are a very new civ. If he had popped out those cav before, the dervishes and the Desert Raiders all at once, he could have cleaned me up here. But as it is, I'm able to get away because his cav's on low HP. I can just kite them and get away. So the scores have flipped at this point, and I'm in front, and he's behind. But of course, the new African civs, the Ethiopians and the Hausa are quite strong. So I'm guessing at this point he's still in. I'm actually only on 22 villages. He's on 25, so his economy is stronger than mine at this point. Mine should be stronger. I idled for too long. I popped myself for too long. You know, as I say, I'm still not used to playing the US. I think at this point I probably only had 1 or 2 market upgrades as well. Market upgrades don't really fit into the strategy as such. I'm a second barracks because I'm stacking resources. What I really need to be doing is taking these off coin, putting them on food, and then popping out the regulars to complement the state militia mass. Kind of a lull at this point. And yeah, I start popping out the regulars at this point because we have... Maybe could do with a few more state militia, maybe like 35, and then 20 regulars would be a nice number. We're sending Springfield Armory. We'll send that up towards the outpost. So the upgrades research quicker. We're getting the speed upgrade first, which gives these guys, you know, quite a lot of speed. I'm not exactly sure what they go up to, but they move around the map quite quickly once you've got that upgrade. And then the pikes again, so we've got more anti-cav, and really I've missed my badges here, and that's not good. Two regulars we got. Put down the Springfield Armory. Start taking down his huts at this point, which I assume are houses. I assume huts are houses. And really at this point we know that we're quite in control. We can just kind of poke in and out. We'll probably get this upgrade next. It gives you extra 4 range on your state militia, which is quite nice. Turns them into kind of sort of mini skirmishers as such. And looking at the scores at this point, we are quite in control. Again, our macro not the best. His explorer's kind of just been chilling there for the entire game.
Orders?
You can see the Springfield Armory, we research the military drummers first, and then we get in the flintlock and the paper cartridge, which increases the hit points and the attack of your firearms units. So that'll be, you know, the regulars and the state militia, which is a good one for the US. We're getting placer mines as well. So we did only have hunting dogs in until this point. But really not a very strong economy. 27 villages, 26. Quite a bad micro from me there, you know. I'm managing to put my anti-cav in front of his dervishes, which isn't very clever. Right, look at their ranged attack. The rate of fire changes quite frequently. I'm not sure what that's all about. The ranged attack is 2.5 rate of fire, which is better than 3, obviously. They're good against heavy infantry. I'm just learning as the video goes on here. It's really good practice to watch your games back. You do learn a lot more than when you sit there playing. You know, I didn't really look at these stats. I just assumed that they were light infantry, which, you know, they are. But when you watch it back, you do learn quite a lot.
I'm ready.
At this point, we have 12 regulars, 6 pikes. We have 26 state militia. Again, I'm missing more batches, which is not the best.
What is your command?
You can see when the military drummers upgrade comes in.
I'm ready.
5.22 speed, which is really nice on infantry. They have 5 speed. Insane. These civs need no. Why have they got 5 speed? Why do they need 5? They don't need 5. Silly.
Yes.
The developers of this game seem absolutely determined to make it, everything new strong. Everything has to be stronger than what came before. Ah, so these Abun guys, these can heal as well. Interesting. Healers have never really been a part of the game because you would never bother to build surgeons, but when you have these guys anywhere, you obviously would use them. Now look, they look really nice. Right, let's just pause it here a second and let's just appreciate. They might have mucked up the balance and several other things, but these units do look. This is like a total war game almost. That looks really good. Anyway, back to the game. As he brings in the cannoneers, so I think of these guys like Abus guns, but with a higher rate of fire, of course, because they would obviously be better than Abus guns because the devs want to make all of the new units really strong for some reason. At this point, if I put down the Fog of War for myself, I probably should have just pushed out. I think I've got more units than he does, and for some reason he's intent on taking down this arsenal. I mean, he's going to sort of, you know, waste all of the time spent on that upgrade, but not a huge deal for me. You know, his micro's not the best. His cavs all over my pikes and my regulars. The cavs kind of metaled away at this point, and we've still got 27 state militia. We've still got 13 regulars as well, actually. So really bad fight from him. Mainly because he didn't micro it well at all. And at this point, it just looks like a cleanup, basically. And, you know, he's trying to fight and fall back at this point, but it's far too late. We take down the cannoneers and the dervishes, the Abun, which is like a villager on steroids, 2 random desert raiders. I guess the thing to do with the new civs is to try and liken the new units to old units. So I think of these desert raiders as hussars, I think of the cannoneers as Abus guns, I think of the dervishes as like, I don't even know, man, what are these, like Seaton bows or Iena from the Haudenosaunee. We now have the range upgrade in 17 range in age 2, which is really nice for an age 2 unit. They just start sniping the villas off. They've got 14 attack. You know, they've got no negative multipliers against the villagers, which is really nice. He's lost like 4 or 5 vills at this point, which is quite bad. I'm on 32 vills, 27. Feels like he's been on 27 for a long time. His economy's kind of stalled. He's got a lot of units in queue though. Can't believe it, those, because they're only 95 resources. That's insane. So they're stronger than standard mosques, and they're stronger, quicker, and cheaper. That seems fair, doesn't it? Nevertheless, the US at this point in charge. Shipment he's sending in. Battle containing 900 food. 900 in age 2. What's that? Why is that? 900. Why is everything just more than it was previously? 900. That seems overpowered, man. I don't know how quickly you would collect that 900, but standard for age 2 700, so I don't really know why that's so strong. Many questions. Another lull at this point as I age up, and we went up with the I can't remember what it's called, the improvement from the state capital that allows you to age up quicker, which is a nice improvement in age 2, lets you get up to age 3 a little bit quicker. We rebuild the arsenal and we get the free upgrades in once again in range of the inspiring flag. The upgrade's slightly quicker, although it's still very slow, but then, you know, on the flip side, they are free. Obviously the flintlock before we did maybe have like 4/5 done, 80% done, but we lost it because they destroyed the arsenal. So we've aged up. Virginia again, we get the crates, we get the nice factory, we get 5 regulars, and we pretty quickly look to get these batches out and then upgrade both sets of units. At this point we're on 34 villagers, he's on 31. You You know, look, we've not really put a foot wrong in this game. You know, some of our micros been a little bit off, some of our macros been a little bit off. Overall, we've not really put a foot wrong, and the opponent is still in it. These civs are so strong. I remember when the US came out, because nobody knew the builds, got incredibly weak. But really, new civilizations that come out because you don't know how to play them optimally, particularly against, you know, civs that have been out for 15 years, like all the European ones. Really, the new ones should be incredibly weak, or at least a little bit weak, and then you can nerf them as they go on. They should not come out as the strongest unit. It's a little bit silly, really, but a conversation for another time. So at this point, he is pushing us with what is basically Musk Huss, you know, an African Musk Huss, which I think we can take. We've got the units to do that. We've got the state militia. Really, we should be upgrading this counter infantry rifling, rather than these two, because that will give us a big bonus against the heavy infantry. But at this point, it's looking to look like a cleaner. As long as we can get our regulars onto the cavalry, sort of, you know, going around the houses a little bit. You know, possibly a bit of pathing, possibly a bit of bad micro, but at this point, it's looking pretty bad for him. The state militia are really strong against these guys. You know, they've got their upgrade in. He's still on age 2. The regulars with the flag, they've got 37 ranged attack. That's incredibly strong, actually. That's to do with the flag, and also the upgrades that we've got. That's really strong. That's like a guard musketeer. That's a lot stronger than I thought it would be. And these guys have got 20 ranged attack, which is, you know, again, given that they get multipliers, that's like a Russian musket in age 2. But yes, the game is over. What is there to say about that game apart from the fact that Ethiopia, despite the fact that they lost, are really strong? It was played at 1400 ALO. I got the impression that the guy, I mean, you know, the DLC's only been out for a few days, so he was probably a little bit new to the civ. Picked up this treasure. I didn't, but yeah, it was a good example of how to play the Spanish Immigrant Rush. The card order, you pop your French immigrants. You have to collect your 100 wood, get the French immigrants. You pop your Spanish immigrants to get your outpost. Then you pop your 700 wood. Then you put almost all of your villagers onto food, and then you go into state militia production, which you then complement with the pikes, and then with also the 5 regular shipment. And then you go from there. I think it is a pretty strong rush on maps where you don't have trading posts. Although of course on this map we did have trading posts, but on maps where you can secure 3 trading posts, because I don't think you can get this one on this map because it's within range of the opponent's town centre. So for example, on Central Plains where you can have easy access to, you know, 3+ trading posts, you would go for the Chinese immigrant boom. But on maps where you don't have access to that, you go for the Spanish Immigrant Rush. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy it, or even if you didn't, then please do like, comment and subscribe. It would help me very much. Thanks very much for watching.